Hi, welcome. This is Allison, and welcome to Travel Stitch Journal number 5. We are headed out of our area in Los Angeles. Here's the good old 5, headed out to Jalama Beach in northern Santa Barbara County. And here we are in the East LA interchange, selecting the 10 so that we can hit up the 405 heading out of town. You'll see downtown, and right in the foreground is the Fashion District, and downtown in the background. Here we are headed through the Malibu Canyon area by Agora Hills, and this is where they filmed MASH. That was a discussion among my guildmates. Santa Monica Mountains. And now we're headed down the hill into Oxnard. And here's a good old map. We're right down there where there is a horizontal part of the map, which is Central Coast. And Santa Barbara, the 101, we're going to be heading out towards the Lompoc area. And good old Vandenberg Space Force. Used to be Air Force Base. Beautiful areas driving in on the 101. Here we are almost to Santa Barbara by Summerland. Really beautiful day to be driving. This guy appeared in the Santa Barbara area next to the freeway. I thought that was seemed a little risky, but he had good lift. Here we are on the 101. And then to the 1, and then going to make our way into Happy Cow Country, where Jalama Beach Park, which is with Santa Barbara County Parks, is 14 and a half miles through Happy Cow Country. And there's our park. Yay! Just over that hill is Vandenberg Air Force, or now Space Force Base. A rocket just went up on the 27th. For Elon, I think. Headed in. Oh, this is what I'm going to be working on. Trying to finish this. It just keeps haunting me. But so happy to be here. And it is a hop, skip, and a jump just over the sand to the beach. From, as I turn around, where we are parked. Yay! Cougar Flow becomes my official stitch station. I creeped up on a monarch butterfly I saw go by, and I'm reminded of the cherry wood fabric challenge I've got to do. As we just sat and observed our environment, we saw so many monarch butterflies, and several in pairs, it seemed to us. We're sitting there in the afternoon. We had our lunch, and then Eric and I decided to go for a walk on the beach, and we went for 2 miles, over 2 miles down the beach. And we walked towards what is known as Point Conception. And there was a sign about the oil balls or tar balls that we were probably going to get on our feet, so they were warning us. And here's what the sign said. Santa Barbara Channel, largest natural oil seep in the world. What's with the tar? Oil rigs? The Coal Oil Point Seep Field in Santa Barbara Channel, offshore of Goleta, California, is a marine petroleum seep area of about 3 square kilometers within the offshore South Elwood oil field and stretching from the coastline southward more than 1.9 miles. Major seeps are located in water depths from 20 to 80 meters. The seep field is among the largest and best studied areas of active marine seepage in the world. These perennial and continuous oil and gas seeps have been active on the northern edge of the Santa Barbara Channel for at least 500,000 years. The combined seeps in the field release about 40 tons of methane per day and about 19 tons of reactive organic gas, ethane, propane, butane, and higher hydrocarbons. About twice the hydrocarbon air pollution released by all the cars and trucks in Santa Barbara County in 1990. The liquid petroleum produces a slick that is many kilometers long, and when degraded by evaporation and weathering, produces tar balls, which wash up on the beaches for miles around. Written records dating from as early as 1792 describe effects of offshore seeps in the Santa Barbara Channel. Oil and tar slicks have long been a trademark of the area. In 1792, Captain Cook's navigator George Vancouver recorded on passing through the channel, and it had been commonly assumed that the local Chumash natives used COP seep oil washed up on the beaches to seal their plank canoes and baskets. However, archaeologists assert that the mainland Chumash, in fact, used asphalt from nearby onshore seeps in beach cliffs. These seeps must be sourced from a similar subsurface reservoir system, but exposure to oxidation is required to make the material hard and such a beautiful, interesting walk. Who knew we would learn so much? And then at the end of the walk, where we turned around, there was this. Biological research in progress on beaches. What is this and why is it here? This motion sensor wildlife trail camera, a camera trap, is a recording footage of part of the project Ecotone, energetic connectivity of terrestrial and oceanic near-shore ecosystems project. Ecotone works on classifying the movements of large land animals, especially mammals, reptiles, and birds, on the beaches of Gaviota Coast, including Jalama County Beach Park and Jack and Laura Dangermond Preserve and the Vanderburg Space Force Base. With this important research, we hope to help conserve essential habitat and connectivity between land and sea for these animals, whose coastal habitat elsewhere in California has been threatened by human activity and development. Is it taking pictures of me? Yes. If you move in front of the camera, it will take photos of you, but these will not be shared or publicized anywhere. We are interested in quantifying human activity on these remote beaches and exploring whether it affects animal activity on the beach. What if I want to learn more? Well, there's great news. Project Ecotone needs your help with the research. You can get caught in the camera traps and help document evidence, and they give the address to go and find out how you can help. Cross-stitching for the last 2 days, and I have been completing this full coverage beach section on my It's All Better at the Beach piece. And now I have a start that I want to do of a bag for a certain person in my lovely Stitch Guild. So I'm going to get going on that with some scraps and my mat and a ruler and a cutter. So let's get going on that. Love my gloves. Oh, put away all my thread and my scissors. Put it away, get the table cleared, get my sewing supplies out, get cleaned up. Get my sewing bag that I packed out from under the table, get my mats out, select my project and get going on it. There we go. Bag o' kaleidoscope leftover fabrics. Select the best parts. And I think I got my mat all laid out and my rotary cutter. And then I realized Eric was having a great old time outside. So I thought it would be a good idea to get that mat into the sunshine so it wouldn't be so warped and get it warmed up. So that's what's going to happen next. Here I am out at the table. Love it. Over the next few sewing sections, I got my 45-degree triangle sewn together to make good old hexagonal sides, and absolutely hated how it came out. So I sat with my seam ripper and took them all apart, and here I am on the floor on a beach towel having Eric help me make it look more kaleidoscope-like. And instead of matching like pieces, we put them opposite. Love a good barbecue picnic lunch outside the trailer, but this was the only time we ended up eating outside. The gnats were terrible. I know I'm going to have some time here with just looking out at the ocean, so I'm going to grab my poetry book and enjoy reading a little poetry. Hope you don't mind. It's going to be fun. Enjoy. I must go down to the seas again, to the lonely sea and the sky, and all I ask is a tall ship and a star to steer her by. And the wheels kick and the wind's song and the white sails shaking, and a gray mist on the sea's face and a gray dawn breaking. I must go down to the seas again, for the call of the running tide is a wild call and a clear call that may not be denied. And all I ask is a windy day with the white clouds flying, and the flung spray and the blown spume and the seagulls crying. I must go down to the seas again, to the vagrant gypsy life, to the gull's way and the whale's way, where the wind's like a whetted knife. And all I ask is a merry yarn from a laughing fellow rover, and quiet sleep and a sweet dream when the long trick's over. Sea Fever by John Mansfield. He was a 20th century British poet and a novelist who served as a poet laureate in the UK. I think I'm going to read a second poem, and this is from my book of poems for every night of the year, and it's for June 2nd, and it's Summer by Christina Rossetti. Winter is cold-hearted, spring is yea and nay, autumn is a weathercock blown every way, summer days for me when every leaf is on its tree, when robin's not a beggar and Jenny Wren's a bride, and larks hang singing, singing, singing over the wheat fields wide, and anchor lilies ride, and the pendulum spider swings from side to side. The blue-backed beetles transact business, and gnats fly in a host, and furry caterpillars hasten that no time be lost, and moths grow fat and thrive, and ladybirds arrive. Before green apples blush, before green nuts embrown, why one day in the country is worth a month in town, is worth a day in a year of dusty, musty, lag-last fashion, that days drone elsewhere. About the third night, I got going on what I was supposed to be doing more of the week, which was catching up on some of my block of the months. This is my Cotton Cuts Piazza quilt that we're working on, and I think I have here block 2 that I'm putting together, and it is fabric that I chose called, or the team is Unita d'Italia, and I looked it up, and it is Art Gallery Fabrics Nectarine Fusion. It's a super soft, very lightweight, lovely fabric, and it's going together super nicely. They cut it. For those of you that don't know, it's the shapes have been cut, and all you have to do is follow the directions carefully and use your careful 1/4 inch seam allowance, and everything should be okay. With a little bit of ironing and following the instructions and your legend for which fabrics to use where, it comes out quite nicely. It's not over the moon challenging, for sure. The nice thing about that table in our trailer is that the LED lights over the table and the couch are very satisfactorily bright and don't disturb TV watching too much, as you can see that the lights over the main area in front of the television are not on, so it's not bothering Eric's view, and he's okay with me having the lights on. Each month with the Cotton Cuts Mystery Block of the Month, it is super important for me. I don't know about how many other people do it, but I take a piece of masking tape and I make sure that I mark each block or each portion that I'm instructed to build with the number and letter that they have on the pattern. That way, at the very end, when I'm laying it out, I can follow the instructions way faster than trying to figure out which piece is this, which month is this from. So I've got like 3A and 3B very clearly marked on the piece. The nice thing with these Sheila Christensen designed mystery block of the months is that they work up to be such a striking, beautiful quilts. You start out with just hodgepodge of pieces, parts laying all over my floor, and then when it comes to getting them all assembled and laid out, it's just awesome. It's very fun to finish these. I hope you try one sometime. Next day, another video of the beautiful waves there at Jalama Beach, famous for surf. And now we're on to right before we went out to lunch on the 4th day, which we also made our early dinner, getting the Jalama burgers. I was working on putting together the bag for Miss Wendy from my leftover kaleidoscope quilt. And I can see that I'm working on the sides of the bag, the bottom of the bag, getting that all ready to go. As I'm voiceovering this video, I know that I still have to complete preparing the lining for that. It came out, I think, very nice. I'm gonna, I think, take a trip and go to Michael's and get a plastic card liner for the bottom so that it'll stay properly open. And I'll get that ready to go. The day had come. We were going to go to Burger Stop, the only place there that sells anything at Jalama Beach Park. and you look outside at the menu, make your selection, and then go on in and order your food. While we were waiting, inside the dining area, there is a display of a huge disaster that occurred there at Jalama Beach in the 20s, and I'll tell you about it. Did you know Honda Point, also known as the Graveyard of the Pacific, has been host to several tragedies? While the most remembered is the September 8th, 1923 event that claimed 23 lives, there is even a larger scale event that happened on October 1st, 1854. 415 people perished when the steamship Yankee Blade hit the rocks 200 to 300 yards offshore. The photos on the wall, I think, have been positioned in a way in the room that left them getting a lot of exposure from the sun, and so they have kind of been, the photos have been married to the glass that they are behind on the wall, but you can still pretty much see what's going on. These are photos of the Honda Point disaster of September 8th, 1923. The Honda Point disaster was the largest peacetime loss of U.S. Navy ships. On the evening of September 8, 1923, 7 destroyers, while traveling at 20 knots, ran aground at Honda Point. The ships were navigating by dead reckoning, which is the process of calculating one's current position by using a previously determined position or fix, and advancing that position upon known or estimated speeds over an elapsed time and course. This process is subject to cumulative errors. There were 14 ships in all, led by Commander Edward H. Watson on the flagship destroyer, the USS Delphi. 7 were lost, 2 that were damaged but able to back out of the disaster zone, and 5 that avoided the rocks. Names of the 7 lost were the USS Delphi, USS SP Lee, USS Young, USS Woodbury, USS Nicholas, USS Fuller, and the USS Chauncey, and 2 damaged but able to back out were the USS Farragut and the USS Somers. And the 5 that avoided the rocks were the USS Percival, USS Kennedy, USS Paul Hamilton, USS Stoddard, and the USS Thompson. In all, there were 23 sailors that died in this tragedy, 3 from the flagship USS Delphi and 20 from the USS Young. Oddly enough, Captain Watson was in command of the flagship USS Delphi, was relieved of his seniority, yet was commended by his peers and the government for assuming full responsibility of the events that transpired at Honda Point. I'm sorry for the loss to so many families. As we were waiting for our burgers, there was a couple who had 8 sheepdogs. They were magnificent and big, and they were up on the hillside camping, and they had a cage, a little house for each one. I don't know how they did it. They must have been collapsible. So that night after hamburgers, there I was working on again blocks for the Unita d'Italia. How you doing, Eric Johnson? Okay. All right. And he was watching TV. I can see that through my mouth. I'm responding to things over there. He's watching on the television. Did you know there are 7 surprising uses for carrots that maybe you haven't thought of? As I was reading today, you can of course use carrots for salad dressing. Number 1, blend your carrots with ginger, rice vinegar, olive oil, garlic, and toasted sesame oil. for a zesty salad topper. Number 2, you can use them on tacos. Toss your chopped carrots with oil and chili powder, roast them until they're caramelized, and pile into tacos with avocado, radishes, cilantro, and sour cream. Thirdly, you can use them in waffles. You want to add about a half to a whole cup of shredded carrots to your favorite waffle recipe or mix. Number 4, bacon. Use a vegetable peeler to create long, thin slices. Mix soy sauce, garlic powder, smoked paprika, olive oil, and a little maple syrup and brush it on. Air fry at about 350 for 10 minutes, and you'll have carrot bacon. Fifthly, as noodles, spiralize carrots and then boil briefly or saute until tender, and then toss with butter, parmesan, lemon zest, and pepper. Hummus. Roast chopped carrots with cumin and then blend in a food processor with tahini, lemon juice, garlic, and olive oil. And finally, energy bites. In a food processor, combine carrots, walnuts, dates, nutmeg, vanilla, cinnamon, and a pinch of salt until well blended. Roll into balls, no cooking needed. I hope that was enjoyable and that you can use that. Here we are on our way. I believe Thursday we went to go get gasoline in the truck so that Eric on the way out of Jalama would not have to go into a gas station with the trailer in tow. This way he could just select a gas station, grab the fuel, and be on our way. Certainly it is over 14 miles out of here, but Eric's choice is to have a full tank. Number 1. Hope you enjoy this ride. Just really pretty days we had there. There's the ranch house up on the side of the hill. Really massive, huge, beautiful. 5 miles still to Jalama Beach. I know that it's such a long way. They have signs at the beginning, middle, and near the end there for 14 and a half miles, 10 miles to Jalama Beach, 5 miles to Jalama Beach, and then finally you see off in the distance the Pacific over the rolling hills. When we chaperoned a scouting trip, Eric rode with his nephew and I think 8 other boys from San Luis Obispo train station where they got off. We had put them on in Grand Central Station in LA, and they rode the train up to San Luis Obispo and then rode spring break down to Santa Monica Beach. And this was one of the nights, I think the third night's stop at Jalama Beach. And from the road that we're driving in there, if you can imagine riding on a bicycle, a road bike in, it's definitely a workout. But when we were there at that spring break, the wind was blowing so hard. The boys and the chaperone men had to stand up on their pedals to go downhill. The wind was blowing them so hard, the force. And I mean, it's funny to think back on, but at the time we were just, our minds were blown that they were having to work so hard at the end just to get into the park. The other thing I can see is that we are behind a couple of trailers, and that was Thursday night or afternoon, and that was definitely the beginning of what I call the weekend warriors. They came into the park and definitely brought up the volume and the population of the beach campers. So driving in, seeing the park back there, a nice view over it. Here we have to drive, it seems like half a mile, just over to a flatter plateau area where we can make a right turn and cross the railroad tracks at a good angle and then head down, tack back down into the park. It's a pretty view. I can't imagine being on a bicycle and making it from good old classic Highway 1 coming on into the park here, actually making those 14 plus miles, because of course the troop that we traveled with would have been on their bikes since breakfast. And here we go down into the park. We have to stop the gate and check in with the ranger at the station. The folks in front of us are going to have to come to a stop and check in. We noted that people don't have their tanks. It's dry camping and they do not come with their tanks full of water. They fill up at the potable water station right after the gate so that their trailers are that much lighter. There are 3, almost 4 areas to park. There's the area right in front of the beach where we are. There's the terrace that's just above the trees behind us. And then one I feel like that's been built since we were last there. And this was a gift by the Richfield Oil Company. I went over to the river outlet, the marshy area, and found some interesting signs about the Chumash Native tribe that used to reside in this area. And of course, they had grass huts made of the fauna area, the grassland and woodland species. And then there was an interesting poster about all our native plants to be found in this marsh area. I went slow so that we could enjoy what's out there. Kind of similar to what I noted in my stitch journal where we were in Morro Bay. Good old buckwheat flower. Very nice. Super pretty against the green, and I'm on the hunt for taking video of course, the butterflies, and I can't find any right now, and I thought there was one in the grass right in there. Here is what I worked on during our vacation. My Halloween mystery block of the months, the last 3 months. Here is my doorway for Abraham Lincoln. I got a little further than that. Here is my bag. Here is my schoolhouse on the prairie. I got quite far on that one. And here is, it's all better at the beach. And my mystery stitch by stitch that I have really fallen behind on. I'm only like at the end of 5, and there are 20 of them. Here are the dogs. This gentleman had the most rad retro motorhome. I just loved it. It was in such fine condition, really. Your jaw just dropped at how perfect it was. And Eric's sitting down there. I went on a walk and loved the sunset and the view. I see him in the chair right there. And here we are, headed out. Hasta la vista. It's been great. Not too far. I think it took us 4 hours, even with a little bit of traffic in the valley, the Woodland Hills area, Calabasas, and then again a little bit of traffic in Oxnard and Santa Barbara. Just barely, a little bit of slowing, but we did just fine. And so, our next trip is coming up, and we're actually headed out tomorrow to Avila Beach, and we're going to spend 5 days out celebrating our anniversary. And we're going to have a view of the bay and the pier, and I'm really looking forward to it. The pretty classic Boy Scout house in Camarillo. My brother-in-law Jeff teaches high school at Jordan High in Long Beach and asked me if I would assist his colleague Mrs. Wilk in presenting concerning the history and knowledge of quilting. And we had a great time showing them some techniques and ideas about what quilting is and what it means. And then I did some studying up for it on history of quilting. I also asked Laura Lynn to help me show them the final step in long arming or sandwiching the 3 layers. It's a short story, or actually an article from a Newsweek article post 9/11 called A Quilt of a Country. And Mrs. Wilk is having each student put together a picture size piece of quilt with fabric. They had to design what they believe their quilt story would look like, and they also on the back of each card have an explanation of what they selected to draw on their quilt. Here's Laura Lynn. She presented and took questions from the class on Zoom, and we had a good time. They learned lots, I feel. Jeff's going to give us a tour.
The 3-story building is my science building.
Yeah.
And then behind it, you can see the rebar going up.
Yeah.
They're building another one of these buildings over there.
Nice. And then that one will be coming down?
No, that building stays, but the whole gym, that's all being torn down. And the stadium's being torn down, and all this area is like phase 5, and phase 3.
Why did you take the stadium down?
I don't know, I love it. There's rooms under it and everything. We're gonna have a smaller 2-sided stadium.
Okay.
All-purpose track and shit.
I can understand the 2-sided stadium to keep separate,
yeah.
keep the peace, so to speak.
That makes sense, yes.
Let's put this stuff in the car, and then I'll see. I wasn't able to get to your phone, but I'm gonna see if Jesse's here so you can take a look at it.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. We're going nowhere, really fast.
That young man had solid questions.
You had solid questions?
Many.
I was really the only one who was asking questions.
I think you were asking for some of the other gentlemen that were at your table a little bit too. Spark your mind a little bit, and the question will come up.
Oh yeah, check it out. Yeah. What are we doing today? Watch How are the animals today? Oh, how you can, this is my room, you can peek in real quick.
Oh, sure.
It's an awesome classroom.
Absolutely.
also the only auditorium that has a full lock system to paint backgrounds, which it doesn't get used a lot, but you hang a backdrop, you fly it all the way down, yep, and then you fly it up as you're painting it.
We had that.
Just storage, not too many props anymore.
Oh, wow.
That must have been fun to go through. This is where you find out a district refrigerator.
Is there a costume closet?
There is no costume closet.
Jesse just took over for a guy that had been here for 40 years.
42. Come back on stage.
Oh, I love your side stages. Gosh.
Great. Sounds great. That's why you see all the speakers all around.
Yes. Awesome.
What's the fundraising show first? Which one's that?
Gladiator.
Control room for TV studio number 1.
Green room?
We have a TV studio which is on the side right here. This is the control room for it. It's not being used right now though. Wow. And this is the men's dressing room.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they didn't build the dressing rooms and this whole building for high school use. We rented a lot, so they put that into consideration. We do have the full dressing room.
Thank you. What's through the window here again?
That's our TV studio, one of our TV studios.
Is that where Carol is?
No, Carol's in the real TV studio.
Thank you.
This one's more, we're gonna end up using it for when we start actually using the cameras in the auditorium. I think we're gonna make this the main center where everything goes.
Wow.
What the heck? This is a big old room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So right now it's just storage. Yeah, Mike Carroll has a real TV. This is the green room. We call it the performance lounge because we have a refrigerator, we have a stove. We have everything in this green room.
Oh my.
And it's also, I don't like the layout of it because they make the green room the entrance to the women's dressing room. Oh, yeah. So it's kind of,
Let me see this private. Oh, okay.
and then we do have full lights for makeup.
Awesome.
Make sure we put the good lights in there.
Fabulous.
And then we do have,
Oops, sandbag.
Oh, look at
Thank
that.
you.
There's the wardrobe room.
we do have a wardrobe room, but right now it is our wig room. It is full of wardrobe room, but right now it is our wig room. It is full of wigs.
Oh
What the
my.
heck?
Yes, sir.
Why do we have a wig room?
They're expensive. Yeah.
We need wigs for certain productions.
They're very expensive. Gosh, this is basically then, yes, your wig room. Beautiful.
Yeah, they did a good job with it.
Wow.
And how many staff are manning this facility?
You're looking at it.
You're right.
Here's
Me and of course the crew.
here's the rack.
I have about 10 crew kids.
Here's the rack of wardrobe right here. And the couple band ones back there.
Yeah, the Long Beach Opera used it for wardrobe control center,
You got the control center.
which I have to take apart and clean up because it's a mess.
So when I have guest speakers come that are talking to all my students, we'll set them all up in here. So I can do like 150 kids and then one person will sit.
And you don't really need a mic in here either with all the
No,
sound in it.
it's perfect
You
in
don't,
here.
but they do it anyway because it's
We
good
got it.
practice for all the
Use it.
kids to set it up. And sit back here, get dials, put different lights on the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
That reminds me of Saturday.
Almost the same thing, huh? Wait till you see this.
Thank you for traveling along with me through the tour that we got through Jordan High School's theater, and the time that we spent in the classroom was so fun. I haven't taught in a year and a half, so it was pretty cool. Here we go. Hey, here they all are. Looky. Hi. Hi, Sass. Hi, Laura Lynn. Hi, Tracy. Hi, Wendy. So, hey, let's see what you're doing. I got to make up for lost time from last week. What are you working on, Sass?
I'm working on a pile of flying geese.
My goodness.
In the water.
And that's
They
a
got
lot. That was a lot of flying geese that I recall seeing last week. Yes, for sure. Laura Lynn, what's up with you? What are you working on?
A glass of water.
An important glass of water. Thank you.
It's late and my eyes are tired, so I know when to stop.
Yeah. Miss
And
Tracy,
then we
what
gotta-
are you working on?
I'm working on my EPP hexagons.
Excellent.
That's Sass's favorite color.
Yahoo, Yahoo. Love your hexies. Wendy, what are you working on?
Working on a paper piece, Winnie the Pooh.
I love it. It's darling.
That's so cute.
Aw, it's going to come out beautiful. And then who are we missing?
Miss Pat Remensnyder.
What did she do just now? She beat
I
a
think the door hit her. in the bump
she
on the
beat
way
a
out.
path
I
to
don't
that
know.
leave button is what she did. Here we are headed into Veracruz on Thursday night, our taco night. And what is up in the sky? Evidence of the SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket, I think it is, out of Vandenberg. And boo! Happy Halloween, all. Here's the piece that I made along with Laura Lynn and others and made for my grandson's 6th birthday, which I gave him on Saturday. Thank you so much for coming along with me on this tour. I hope you enjoyed, taking part in learning a little something. I know I'm so a daughter of my mother, who was a great traveler and always documented everything and would have notes on everything that we did. And so I just really enjoy getting into a location and learning all about it. And I hope you enjoy it too. If you want to if you would even subscribe, that'd be fabulous.